What's good, YouTube? Quinn Wade coming to you with the hot topic today. As you all know, I live in Wisconsin. I only live 2 to 3 minutes away from Milwaukee, and it was a lot of people told me about that they didn't really like Jason Kidd. A lot of people told me that um, he wasn't a good enough coach. Obviously, he retired and went right into coaching. Got hired for the Brooklyn Nets. The team struggled, but he was able to help them make the playoffs for a couple years, even with Brook Lopez being injured and with Brook Lopez coming back healthy, he was able to help them make the playoffs. He even helped them win the playoff series against the Toronto Raptors to give them, would allow them to go to the second round. Obviously, they've seen some success. They've seen how good of a coach he was. And he had a background and a little bit of a portfolio showing that he always had the basketball IQ. He's a great player. He's a player's coach because at the end of the day, he's nice, he's cool, he's laid back. I actually have met Jason Kidd because I do all the NBA stuff. So I was able to talk to him. I was able to talk to Peter Fagan of the Bucks. I got their business cards because I've been talking to Jason Kidd, and that was years ago. But I'm kind of a little bit upset to see him get fired because, they've been trying to find a way to build a championship team. I have to give the organization more credit because with the old owners, even back in the 90s, they tried, the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, they tried to build through the draft. They tried to win a championship after Kareem. Obviously, they could never get over the hump. I was born 1992, so when I was a kid, I didn't really know too much about the Bucks until the early 2000s, like 2000 through 2010. Obviously, they had Ray Allen and teams like that helped them win playoff series, but they was never good enough to win a championship. They also had a player like Michael Redd. They was good enough to make the playoffs, but not good enough to win the championship. They was able to get Brandon Jennings and players like Monte Ellis, Greg Monroe, Andrew Bogut. Some of them was traded, some of them was drafted, but they still was caught up in a mediocrity. They was good enough to make the playoffs, but they was not good enough to win the championship or even get to the second round most of the time. And that's been going on for over 30 years for the Bucks organization. One thing I liked about the Bucks these last couple years is they got new management, and the management is not scared to pay the luxury tax. The management, the Coakley brothers, are not scared to put a great team and try to keep them intact. Obviously, they was able to trade for Chris Middleton. He became a lot better, and they gave him his $80 million 4 year, $80 million contract, 4 or 5 years. I know he got $80 million, and then they obviously was able to re-sign Giannis Antetokounmpo to a 5 year, $100 million deal, which is a franchise player, which is one of the best players the Bucks has ever had. But Giannis and Chris Middleton was not great players when they first got them. They helped develop them into the players that they are, which are two-way players. They both play hard. They both long. They both lanky. They both can give you over 20 points a game. Matter of fact, Chris Middleton is averaging 20 right now, and Giannis is averaging 28 right now as they best two players. And they both play defense. And you have to give credit to Jason Kidd and his coaching staff because Giannis was a regular player for the first, 2, 3 years of his career. He just broke out into an all-star in the all-NBA season just last year. Last year was his breakout season. He became an all-star. Everybody knew who he was. Everybody was happy to see him. He showed out at the all-star game. He helped lead a team to the playoffs as the best player. He did all that last year. Ain't like he been doing it for 5 to 10 years. Giannis just had a breakout season last year after all the years he'd been playing in the league. And then this year he took it even to a higher extent. Even though they without Jabari Parker, he took the team to a higher level, averaging 30 points for the first month and then still averaging 28 now and still giving you assists, rebounds, steals and blocks throughout the whole season so far. So it's good that they was able to lock down their two best players. And now they was able to trade Greg Monroe for Eric Bledsoe, who's locked down for another year. He's an elite point guard defender. Not elite, but he's a good defender at the point guard position. That's the strongest position in the league. You're going to have somebody that can guard that position. You're going to have somebody that plays hard at that position and can score. Eric Bledsoe can handle the ball. He can score. He can shoot a little bit. And he can defend the position, and he can keep up with a lot of the elite point guards from, not consistently, but majority of the time. But ever since the trade to get another two-way player in Eric Bledsoe, they still have been in and out of the playoffs. Right now, they eighth seed. Right now, they 1 minute they win 3, 4 in a row. Next minute they lose 2 or 3 in a row. They haven't made that that elite level move, and they've been stuck in mediocrity. When Jason Kidd took over the team, they obviously made the playoffs. Then they missed the playoffs because of injuries. And Giannis wasn't the player that he is now, and Chris Middleton wasn't either. Then obviously they ended up trading Brandon Knight, who helped them almost make the playoffs, but they had a playoff record right then and there when they had Brandon Knight. They traded Brandon Knight for Michael Carter Williams, and they went to the playoffs barely. They got off to a good start and just barely coasted to the playoffs. And obviously they got put out in the first round, and Michael Carter Williams ended up being a bust. But the best part about that trade was Brandon Knight. We don't know what his career would have been if he would have stayed with the Bucks, but they did need a perimeter shooter. They did need somebody at the point guard position. Now that they was able to get rid of Michael Carter Williams, they was able to replace him with Eric Bledsoe, who's better than both to a certain extent. Because if you look at Phoenix, they wanted to play both of them at the point guard position and shooting guard position, but Eric Bledsoe and Devin Booker was a better fit, and Brandon Knight ended up getting severe injuries going to Phoenix, and we wouldn't know what would have happened if he would have stayed with the Bucks. But Brandon Knight was having an all-star caliber season with the Bucks before they traded him, and after that they just went downhill. Obviously, they was able to make the playoffs last year, but they got beat 4-2 against the Toronto Raptors, and they was not able to win one playoff series, even with the breakout year that Giannis had. This year, we had higher expectations. I kept saying that the Bucks, they have to make the playoffs every year because of the talent that they have. Plus, they have to make a deeper run in the playoffs. They haven't been able to do that with Jason Kidd. I will give him a certain pass because they have had a lot of injuries like this year. Last year, Chris Middleton missed majority of half the season, and they still made the playoffs. Jabari Parker got injured last year, too. He still has yet to play this season. And stuff like that. He was able to help them win enough games, even with, Jabari Parker still out, and they've been dealing with small injuries. Like Giannis was out for the last 2 games, and they still have a playoff record, but they're not an elite team. They're not a great defensive team no more. A couple years ago, they was known mostly for their defense. That's not the case now, compared to the other seasons earlier when Jason Kidd took over. Now they're just an average defense, and they still have the lone lanky defenders. They have gotten better shooters, like Televic. They have gotten Tony Snell. Deladova is okay. Obviously, they got Chris Middleton. Jabari can shoot when he wants to, because a lot of times he just like to play in that mid to low to high post, but he can shoot the three. We all know that he just haven't been able to stay healthy. So Jason Kidd never got them to that next level. Jason Kidd never helped them get out of the first round like he did with the Brooklyn Nets. And a part of it is due to injury and inconsistencies, defensively and offensively. Back then they was known for defense, but they couldn't score the damn basketball. Now they can score the ball. Now they struggling to keep people locked up, and they struggling to stop people from scoring sometimes. And it's funny how they couldn't score. Now they can score, but now they can't defend. So, you got to find some type of balance. I feel like Jason Kidd was patient. He wasn't stressing. He wasn't forcing. He wasn't too preachy. And he helped them, make the playoffs the majority of the years that he was there. But obviously, you want to be as good as you can. And firing Jason Kidd, they probably think they can go in a different direction. Fire and him can allow them like Mark Jackson. Mark Jackson helped develop help get Andrew Bogut, help draft Draymond Green, develop Steph Curry into an MVP, almost an MVP candidate. Klay Thompson had improved every season under Mark Jackson. And then you got to think about he helped get David Lee down there. He helped get Andre Iguodala down there. And like I said, the development of Klay, Draymond, and Steph was always on the rise while Mark Jackson was there. But as soon as they made the trade got the Steve Kerr, they went from being a good team, fringe contender, to now they're a championship contender. And then they was able to go to 3 straight finals, and this year it might be their fourth. So Steve Kerr was able to, even if you disagree, this is what happened. But Steve Kerr was able to get them from a good fringe contender to a championship contender for the last 3 years. Obviously, they had some things go their way. Obviously, they had help throughout the season, but everybody tell you if you want to win a championship, sometimes luck does happen. Maybe an injury, maybe a good call, maybe the refs help you a little bit, maybe somebody just off or missing shots one game and you able to capitalize off of it. Every great team and every great coach will tell you you need a little bit of luck to win a championship. And, they had their luck. Just like Tom Brady, the ball was on the guy's knee and then he was able to still catch it. Even the last game, they was able to get out of bounds and still still get the pass interference, which you need a little bit of luck to win championships. And it's the truth. But at the end of the day, let me know what you guys think. Do you think Jason Kidd should have got fired? Do you think that he's a championship coach? Do you think this will help him become a better coach because he got fired and now he know he needs to improve? Do you think it's just because of the injuries? Do you think they just got fed up being mediocre, or do you think they can replace him and take that next step and become a contender in the Eastern Conference? Something that we thought was gonna happen when they got Eric Bledsoe. Obviously, they went on a small winning streak, but then they came back to reality, and now they barely at the eighth seed. But it still looks like they're going to make the playoffs with or without Jason Kidd. I thought they was going to make the playoffs, but now I feel like they had to get rid of Jason Kidd, and now they feel like they have to make the right move, getting a coach that can take them from good to great and potentially a championship when Jabari Parker gets back. Whether if he resigns or not, he's going to be a restricted free agent, and he's a good piece because he's been averaging close to 20 points the first 2 seasons that he played. And honestly, if you can get a 20-point scorer to go along Giannis, Eric Bledsoe, and Chris Middleton, why not add them? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis signing out. Check out my website, analysisplayground.com. Link up in the description in the comment section below. And also, check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. Link up in the description and then the comment section below. Click the link, you'll see my website. Click the link, it's into my Facebook page. Like on Facebook to show support. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis, I'm gone. And I like Jason Kidd as a coach. I'm just asking you guys, is Jason Kidd great? Is he not? That's all I want to know in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think about Jason Kidd getting fired.